Have you ever looked at someone and instantly felt that something was wrong, even though they smiled and said, "I'm fine"? Have you ever walked into a room and somehow felt the tension before anyone spoke? Or maybe you've noticed tiny changes in someone's face, their voice, or the way they looked away, while everyone else seemed completely unaware. If this sounds familiar, then today's video might explain something about your mind that you've never fully understood. Some people don't just hear words, they read emotions. They notice silent pain, hidden excitement, fake confidence, and quiet sadness that most people completely miss. But here's the surprising part. This isn't magic. It isn't mind reading. It's a psychological ability that comes from the brain paying attention to signals that most people ignore. And while this ability can help someone build deep relationships, it can also become emotionally exhausting. Today, we're exploring the psychology of people who read emotions without words, why they do it, what science says about it, and why this hidden ability is both a gift and a challenge. If you've ever felt emotions that nobody else seemed to notice, stay with me until the end, because you may finally understand yourself. People often believe communication is mostly about speaking, but psychologists have known for decades that words are only one small part of human communication. Research by psychologist Albert Mehrabian is often discussed when talking about emotional communication, although it's frequently misunderstood. His studies suggested that when people express feelings or attitudes, facial expressions and tone of voice can carry much more emotional meaning than the words themselves in those specific situations. That means our brains are constantly collecting information from expressions, body language, eye movement, posture, breathing, and even silence. Most people notice only the obvious signals, but some people naturally notice the tiny ones. Let's understand why. The first sign is they notice tiny emotional changes. These people often recognize a small shift in someone's expression before anyone else does. A smile becomes just a little weaker. Eye contact lasts a little shorter. The voice becomes slightly quieter. Most people would never notice, but they do. Imagine talking to a close friend. Everyone else thinks your friend is happy, but you notice their smile doesn't reach their eyes anymore. Something feels different. Later, you discover they were struggling all along. This happens because the brain becomes highly sensitive to emotional patterns. Instead of focusing only on words, it quietly compares hundreds of tiny signals with past experiences. Sometimes it feels almost like intuition, but much of it is actually careful observation happening without conscious effort. The second sign is silence speaks loudly to them. Many people become uncomfortable when conversations become quiet, but emotionally aware people often learn the most during silence. When someone suddenly stops talking, changes the subject, looks at the floor, or takes a deep breath before answering, those moments often reveal more than long conversations. Psychologists call this emotional awareness. It means recognizing feelings that aren't directly spoken. Silence isn't always empty. Sometimes silence is carrying fear, sometimes it's carrying disappointment, and sometimes it's carrying love that someone doesn't know how to express. The third sign is they feel emotional energy around them. Have you ever entered a room and immediately felt that something wasn't right? Nobody argued in front of you. Nobody explained anything, yet the atmosphere felt heavy. Researchers studying emotional contagion have found that emotions can spread between people through subtle facial expressions, body language, and voice patterns. Without realizing it, our brains often mirror the emotions of people around us. People who easily read emotions are usually more affected by this process. If someone nearby feels anxious, their own body may quietly respond. If someone feels joyful, their mood often lifts naturally. This makes them caring friends, but it can also leave them emotionally tired, because sometimes they're carrying emotions that were never theirs to begin with. The fourth sign is they remember feelings more than conversations. Ask them what someone said 5 years ago. They may not remember the exact sentence, but they'll remember exactly how that person made them feel. Our emotional experiences are deeply connected to memory. Scientists have found that emotional events are often remembered more strongly because areas like the amygdala help strengthen important emotional memories. That's why a simple act of kindness can stay with someone forever. And that's also why emotional wounds can remain long after the words are forgotten. These people don't collect conversations, they collect emotional moments. The fifth sign is they often know when someone is pretending, not because they're suspicious, but because actions and emotions don't always match. Someone says they're confident, but keeps touching their neck. Someone says they're excited, but their eyes keep looking away. Someone laughs, but the laughter ends too quickly. Our bodies often reveal emotions before our words do. This doesn't mean emotionally aware people are always right. Nobody can perfectly read another person's mind, but they often notice when something doesn't feel emotionally consistent. Instead of judging others, they become curious. They wonder, what happened to make this person feel this way? That curiosity creates deeper understanding instead of quick assumptions. The sixth sign is they absorb other people's pain. This is where their greatest strength can also become their biggest weakness, because caring deeply often means feeling deeply. When someone close is hurting, they don't simply understand the sadness, they almost experience it themselves. Psychologists often describe this as emotional empathy. Empathy helps us connect with others. It builds trust. It strengthens friendships. It improves teamwork. But without healthy emotional boundaries, empathy can become emotional overload. Some people spend so much energy helping everyone else that they forget to care for themselves. Eventually, even the strongest heart becomes tired. The seventh sign is they usually become the safe person. Have you noticed how strangers sometimes tell certain people their life story within minutes? There's a reason. People naturally open up when they feel emotionally understood. When someone listens without interrupting, maintains gentle eye contact, and responds with genuine care, others begin to feel safe. Research on active listening consistently shows that feeling heard improves trust, connection, and emotional well-being. Sometimes people don't need advice. They simply need someone who truly understands. And emotionally aware people often become that person without even trying. But here's the hidden truth that almost nobody talks about. People who read emotions without words often spend years believing something is wrong with them. They think they're too sensitive. They wonder why crowded places leave them exhausted, why fake smiles bother them, why emotional tension follows them everywhere. But maybe the real problem isn't their sensitivity. Maybe they're simply noticing what others overlook. Sensitivity isn't always weakness. Sometimes it's advanced awareness. The challenge isn't learning how to feel less. The challenge is learning when to protect your own emotional energy. If you recognize yourself in today's video, remember these simple habits. Don't assume every feeling you notice belongs to you. Ask people how they're feeling instead of guessing. Take quiet breaks after emotionally heavy conversation. Choose relationships where your kindness is appreciated, not used. And remind yourself that understanding someone doesn't mean carrying all of their pain. The world needs people who notice silent emotions. The world needs people who see the person behind the smile. The world needs listeners who understand without judging. But those people also deserve peace. Because even the strongest emotional radar needs time to recharge. So if you've spent your life feeling different, maybe you were never too emotional. Maybe you've simply been seeing a side of people that words could never fully explain. And that isn't something to hide. It's something to understand, protect, and use wisely. If this video felt like it described your life, let us know in the comments by writing, "I noticed the little things." Your story might help someone else feel understood for the very first time. If you enjoyed this journey into human psychology, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and join us for more fascinating insights into the hidden patterns of the human mind. Until next time, keep observing, keep learning, and remember, sometimes the loudest emotions are the ones that are never spoken.